we will be tasked, and so by that we get a call from our coordination centre. They will say to me or my colleagues, we've got a priority, which is whether it's a priority 1, which is urgent and needs to be collected as soon as possible, priority 2, which is a little bit more stood down, and a priority 3, which we've got about 24 hours to pick up. We work out what that priority is, we know how quickly we need to get moving. We will then come into the base. We've got a load of equipment that we need to pack onto the aircraft, and we also need to know whether we're going as a nurse only flight or as a doctor accompanied. Regardless of what it is, we still take a lot of equipment onto the aircraft. We'll get a tasking form that tells us exactly what our patient's condition is like, and we liaise with our pilot, our doctor, our coordination centre, work out a time that we're going to depart, get the aircraft packed and go on our way. We spend that time on the aircraft discussing what we'll do for the patient. We then arrive at our destination. Often when we land, we are welcomed a lot. They're quite grateful that we're heading out there and that we've come to pick them up. Once we get to our destination, we will introduce myself as the flight nurse, the doctor and the pilot. We work very close as a team, so it's important that the patient know who we are. Then we start explaining to the patient everything that's going to happen. From there we explain how long it's going to take to get to Perth, how they will get onto the aircraft as it's a lift-up system. We then give the patient a safety briefing of the emergency exits, the safety restraints on the aircraft, how to get them undone, oxygen requirements. We'll ask the patient if they've got any questions, if they've got any particular concerns, and we will load them onto our trolley and try to just make sure the patient is as comfortable as possible. So we need to take into consideration all of those comfort measures. In particular, like in winter, are they going to be warm enough? So I tend to pack a few extra blankets. Sometimes if you think you're going to have to do a lot of repositioning of a patient, I'll take extra pillows with me just to make sure that we can get them onto their side and they're comfortable. We offer earplugs. It can be quite noisy on the aircraft. We also need to make sure that they've got adequate pain relief on board and that they're comfortable, and that's our main priority, is making sure that they are comfortable and as well as we can possibly make them on the journey down to Perth. We are constantly doing observations on our patients. They are all monitored, so we are constantly watching a screen to make sure nothing changes in their condition. We will speak to them or make sure they're even rousable if they're sleeping, just to make sure nothing has changed. So they're being one-on-one nursed pretty much. Once we get into Perth, we introduce ourselves and the staff around the patient. It's so important to constantly let the patient know what is going on, what hospital they're going to, how long it's going to take, and then we hand over to St John's about why the patient's down here and why they're going to that particular hospital and what they're expecting to get done in that hospital. Yeah, patient comfort is a huge factor that plays in what we do in the air and on the ground.